Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the decision session of the Exec Member for Culture Social Communities. It's Tuesday, the 7th of June 2022, and we're here in the West offices. First item of business is declarations of interest, and having looked at the agenda today, I don't have any interest to declare beyond what's on our register of interests. Item 2 is approving the minutes. To approve and sign the minutes of the decision session held on the 19th of April 2022. Do you want me to do that? Thank you. So happy to approve them as an accurate record of that meeting. Item 3 is public participation. We've not had any members of the public register today to speak at this meeting, nor have we had any written correspondence from any members of the public. So that concludes item 3. And then the main substantive item today, item 4, the multiply investment plan on pages 5 to 44. And I understand I'm handing over to you.
Thank you for that. So the multiply funding is at authority level across York and North Yorkshire to support people who haven't got a formal qualification in maths. So that's a GCSE equivalent in maths, with an aim to get people to more effectively use number in their daily lives, and to use that as a throughput to undertake further learning. The amounts of funds allocated to York is just over £740,000 over 3 years. First year funding being slightly truncated in that it's normally financial years, but we'll only get it in September on submission of a successful investment plan to the DFE. The deadline for that investment plan being returned to the DFE and having the executive level sign off is the 30th of June. So an incredibly tight deadline. So the approach that we took was we had to demonstrate need for this funding. Almost ironically for a funding linked to maths, it's based on fairly basic maths, which is how many people are of working age between 16 and 64, and how many of those individuals have got a A-level equivalent qualification. The assumption being that if you haven't got an A-level equivalent qualification, you won't have maths. Yeah. And that was how the money was allocated on a per head basis based on a national formula. What we then needed to do within the investment plan was choose from a series of 9 potential interventions and match that to the need within the local area. We are choosing to put a joint investment plan between ourselves and North Yorkshire, largely because the administrative element of the funding cannot exceed 10%. So to get sufficient administrative support behind it, it was sensible to share that administrative cost, with the greater percentage of that administrative cost going to North Yorkshire, because North Yorkshire's allocation is significantly larger. We have around 27% of the allocation here in York. What the clear need that we need to identify is that the people who will most benefit from this type of funding are those less likely to engage with traditional adult learning funding. So the approach we've taken is to use cost of living as an opportunity for people to see a purpose for engaging in this type of training. And we've hung many of the interventions around that cost of living approach. The other thing we're trying to do with it is ensure that there's a legacy of this funding in terms of demonstrating to people that engaging with learning, and particularly learning in your community, can be beneficial in terms of progressing you through into a wider skills agenda. So to enable people that once we've got hold of them to say you will really benefit from doing this. But within York and North Yorkshire, we have a similar profile pattern in that we have a large group of people without level 2 qualifications, and a large group of people with level 4 and higher, and particularly in York, 68% of people have level 4 or higher. So we need to find ways to interact with people at that lower level. So we're going to be using the multiplier to test a number of assumptions in that. There are wide-ranging assumptions, or almost that we don't know, even urban myths, when it comes to why people are choosing not to engage, and it's often my employer won't release me, or I haven't got time around my family, or the times aren't convenient to me, or learning is just something I don't enjoy doing. So we will be using the funding to test a number of those. The investment plan is written at a high level rather than take the approach that other authorities have taken, which is to ask people to come forward with, this is my project, this is my pet project that I think will work from a maths perspective. That would have made it too complex within the short time window. But equally, if we take lessons learned from the significant number of European Social Fund projects that have been run by the LEB, often what you get with that approach is people suggesting they're going to overpromise, and you're then left with a position where you've desperately got to try and spend the money. The difference between this and the ESF money is the ESF money was often able to be rolled over year on year. There is no opportunity to roll this money over. It absolutely has to be spent. So what we want to do with the funding is to plug into a large number of community groups, individuals in the community in a variety of settings, because what we're very good at, and again, we're not allowed to duplicate funding here. So anything that we can fund through traditional routes, we can't do, is to go to where people come together, to where people congregate, and use that as the opportunity to engage people. But that means that will mobilize that significant community participation. It should help us to support the operation of a large number of community and voluntary organisations as well, but use that as the opportunity to bring people forward. What we will do is we have to submit the investment plan by the 30th of June. The DFE are very clear that it's an iterative document, so they will then work with us from the 30th of June until the 1st of September to make sure that it's in the shape to allow the release of funding. Over that period, we will then consult with community groups and other providers, but it's really important to identify that at the moment I'm in a bit of an odd position in that I'm overseeing a delivery arm and I'm also commissioning, and we want to remove that as quickly as possible, but we need to do that at the right pace and at the right time to enable things to happen. So what we're looking for realistically today is approval in principle of the approach taken with the investment plan, and then to be able to delegate that authority to get this investment plan submitted by the 30th of June.
That's brilliant. Do you have anything to add?
No, that's a very good summary indeed.
No, thank you so much. I think I was just looking at the risk management plan in terms of what you mentioned, partners over-promising and other from digital connectivity to other matters. I was just thinking, and you'll be more aware of this than myself, Charlie, or anyone here. But obviously, the North Yorkshire County Council moving into a unitary authority. So this investment comes at a time of, I guess, that change. Do you see any? Hopefully, that won't get in the way.
No, I mean, what this has to do is it has to dovetail with the rest of the UK shared prosperity funding. So I'm already on the working streams for how UK SPF is being dealt with in a quasi-operating system. So at the moment, the money was originally directed towards the district. There's been the agreement, because we're moving towards a unitary, that we're working together. So we're closely working together already. So it should overcome that. But actually what it should do from a North Yorkshire perspective particularly is help to engage with more people, because there will be more people who will be linked into their communities that will enable us to get to where we need to be.
That's brilliant. Well, I don't have, on that question there about unitarisation, I don't have any questions on the proposals. And just hope that the submission goes to plan, and best of luck up to the 30th of June. With that, I'm happy to approve recommendations at paragraph 2, page 5, both of those recommendations. Thank you so much, Paul and Charlie, for presenting that paper. That is our only substantive item. So item 5 is urgent business. I'm relieved I don't have any urgent business today. Otherwise, just to thank you for all your time.
All right, thank you.